BD5 Pilot with you out at the Hillsboro hangar on a second day of No Shave November, and getting some good work done on the airplane today. So I pulled the engine out of the engine bay, and in doing so I've been able to get to this lower pulley and set my laser up on it and get a correct reading facing out towards the firewall there. And so I ended up needing to raise the engine about a quarter of an inch, and I need to come towards center about a 1/16 of an inch. So I've drilled out the other holes larger, which I already planned on doing since I plan on using a Delrin shoulder washer to create a bushing between the aluminum and the motor as a motor mount. It is meant to be a solid mounted motor, but the Delrin will act to help a little bit with the vibration getting into the aluminum. It is a very smooth engine. I'm not too worried about the vibration, but I do want to cushion it from the aluminum. And so now those bolts are in the correct places. I did create a spacer up at that upper mount so that it would angle the engine correctly. Remember, the engine wanted to droop a little, so it should now set level, so I'll get the engine set in. But talking about the engine, you recall that I made those prototype, I should really call these a plenum, because that's a more correct term for what I'm doing. I'm creating a space that cold air enters, and then as a result of the way I'm doing it, for that air to pass over, it has to pass over right where those fins are on the engine. So, so the proximity actually makes it act as a baffle. The cold air will enter this entire plenum and then pass across those cylinders and help keep the engine cool. But when I get this placed back inside, I'll be able to find out if my clearances are sufficient. The only one I'm really worried about is the lower edge over here is the one that may want to rub against the engine cover on that side, but we'll find out when I get it back together. I should have proper clearance from the starter ring, and so I can put those 3.5-inch scat tubes in, and those are going to be, recall I'm using those NACA ducts on the engine cover, and that NACA duct actually going to sit right about here. So what I have to design is a system that, and I bought some foam just for this purpose, a system that then rotates that air back around and takes it into that plenum. And whether I create a cross system that goes into the opposite side, or whether it makes a sharp turn and comes into there, I'll have to decide once I get that setting in the aircraft and see what the measurements are and see what the foam ends up doing. So their engine is sitting in place now, and yes, one of the advantages of having an engine this light is I put that in. One man, just rest the rear on, set the bolts through on the front, and you're done. It only weighs 35 pounds, so it's actually very easy to manage. And now with those cooling plenums sit in, you can see I do appear to have the clearance. On this side was not the clearance problem side, because the engine does sit further to the left than it does to the right. The right side was the one that had me worried, and you can see I have plenty of clearance. Here, I'm now going to set the engine cover on this side, and then we're going to tape the NACA duct on the inside and look for the fit there. Okay, so you can see that's just about the only way that's going to fit is right there. So what I'm going to design with the foam now is going to be a means of taking this and curving it up. We're going to probably come across and connect the two NACA ducts together and then create the opening that feeds them into here. I may end up not even running the scat tubing. I may make it to where it directly attaches into these aluminum pieces. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to see how that pans out when I get this partially there. Well, that certainly makes for a good day of work today. I'll be out here tomorrow to futz a little more stuff, but it's really coming together, and now I can see how I'm going to have to design a few things that you just had to get the parts installed to find out. BD5 Pilot is out for now. Have a great weekend, everyone.